Hey, you good people, Batavia here. We are talking raised beds in the backyard garden. See you in a few. Okie doke, so my housekeeping items are quick. Thank yous to those who like, watch, comment, share, and subscribe to Be Better Garden. We appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, consider it. And if you do, there's a notification bell you can hit so you're alerted each time I share more #GardenJoy. All right, so last time we were together, we talked container gardening. This week, we're looking at the 8 raised beds we have in the backyard garden, what we're growing. We have some spring crops still kicking butt, and we also have a bunch of summer things that are really starting to take off. So let's dig in. So our tomatoes are really starting to take off. Felt like they got to a slow start, but it kind of feels like that every year. They were planted on or around May the 25th, so just 2 months of growth after the transplants went in. So a couple of items here. We have some bell peppers. These are going to end up turning into yellow bell peppers. These 2 plants, we see they've put on flowers, and some itty bitty peppers are forming. This is going to be kind of a long time coming. From this tomato plant we have, this is that volunteer, so we know now that it is a green zebra. If we look inside there, and then next to it is that boxcar tomato. It is doing well. It's basically just another slicer, and you can see it's put on some fruit down low. So I'm actually looking forward to this one and seeing how it tastes. My early girl is starting to catch up with the rest of them. It wasn't as early as I wanted it. It did get planted pretty small. So we'll see. I'm hoping for a better taste out of that plant. There's a bunch of fruit on it. All of my lettuce that I left in, I'm basically letting it go to seed. So the next raised bed, this is the larger one in the cage baby. This is 12 foot long and 4 feet wide. The other beds on either side of this one is 7 feet long. So I don't know what this is. I had it marked as a chef blend, which I thought was more like a salad style size tomato, but like if I look in here, it's a pretty large tomato there. So I'm not sure what it is, but I can say that I feel good about this being a honeycomb. So kind of a cherry tomato, but it's orange. So I actually have probably what's going to be my first tomato down there, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure if I have any of your typical cherry tomatoes. I have some volunteers that I'll show y'all. We're hoping 1 or 2 of those may be cherry tomatoes. So next up is, I think this is the mortgage lifter. So this one's just put on a couple of veggies. The plant looks okay though. We still have a lot of flowers, so that's promising. Confetti pepper, which is nice because I like these little snack peppers. They're quite literally something just to snack on. I like the variegation on this plant and the fruit. Next up, I think we have a bunch of sweet banana peppers. So I'm pleased with these plants because this is probably the best spot for peppers in the cage baby. This is where the most sun hits. Last year it was a bit of a struggle for some of them, I think, to compete with everything else that was going on, plus kind of the cage. I'm gonna move on to, this is one of 2 plants that are kind of sickly. So this is, I believe, if it's not the mortgage lifter, I'll put the name of it on the screen. But I've been trimming away at it, trying to keep it healthy, or I guess trying to nurse it back. It does have some fruit, not a lot of flowers, but we'll see how it goes. I'm keeping an eye on it though. Next up is pineapple, and that plant's doing pretty well. No noticeable fruit just yet, but we still have plenty of time. And I do have, again, stuffed in here, I think these are more banana peppers, sweet banana peppers. Next up, these are my paste tomatoes, and these it's kind of mixed results so far. So the San Marzano is what, no, this is the Amish. The Amish is the second tomato that the plant has been looking sickly, and I've heavily pruned it. I normally try to prune like maybe about a foot and a half off the soil or off the mulch, just to try to keep the plant healthy and create some airflow. I've gone higher with this one because it has looked to be in some trouble. So this is another one I'm keeping a close eye on. Some fruit on it already, some pretty nice sized paste tomatoes. But we'll see if it stays healthy. I don't want it to create trouble for the rest of the plants in here. So it actually got a little bit crowded in here. My spacing was a little bit off. So over here I have, this is gonna be the, if that one's the Amish, this is the San Marzano. It could be reverse. But the plant has gone crazy. It's an indeterminate, so I'm probably gonna come in and prune compared to this Roma, which is a determinate. So I try to keep an eye on how much I'm taking off of a determinate plant. But it has plenty of fruit. It is looking a little bit peaked. So it's another thing we have to keep our eye on. We have some peppers here. This is a serrano pepper, which I didn't grow last year, so I'm looking forward to this one. And then that one is a gypsy pepper, which I picked up from some nursery. I thought it was kind of cool. So just a quick view of this bed. It's just a bunch of peppers in here, mostly bell peppers. And we do have some fruit that's set on them. That doesn't really look like a bell pepper. So whatever it is, it's pretty large, which is good. Then I have some more bell peppers, or some peppers of some sort that I've put in here. I think the next time we're in the backyard and we're talking raised beds, we'll be able to tell better what those are. I do see some nice bell peppers forming back there, which kind of all in the middle of the nasturtiums. The nasturtiums are really just from the spring when I had some turnips planted. So I put those out there, and they've continued to do well, which is nice. So here's one of the volunteers I mentioned. This is actually the at least second year that a plant has volunteered here. And if it's the same plant from last year, it's a cherry tomato, your regular red cherry tomato. Quick look at a couple of the other volunteers. And I'm actually kind of, you know, letting them go. It's absolutely inconvenient in the walkway, but I don't know, I can't help myself. So here's one again that's right in the doorway here. I'm just making general assumptions about what they are, but who knows what birds have carried where. All right, so we have the strawberry bed, which at this point is probably more like the celery bed. So I haven't done any different things to try to preserve those strawberries since we last talked. There is some new flowers that are being put on, but celery's looking good. Probably about time to blanch it. Not as large as what you would normally see in the stores, but I'm okay with that. I do have some great progress on potatoes and corn. You can see the tassels. Corn's pretty high. We're just at around 90 days from when I planted this bed. So my potatoes are about 90 days old. They're different varieties, so I can't say for sure when they're gonna be ready to harvest. So this is the second year I've grown potatoes. And everything that I've read, you basically are waiting for the plants to die back. You can harvest new potatoes at any point once you start to see flowers on the potatoes, or the plants, which they've already done. But I'm holding out. So I'm trying to continue to care for this bed, and I'm interested in what the harvest is going to be like. My corn is looking good, I think. So really, really pleased with that. And again, this is about 90 days old, so I still have a ways to go with this, which is fine. We're gonna uncover these last two beds and dig in there. Alrighty, so things look really good in these two beds. A little bit of cleanup. That's one of the downsides of the tulle fabric. It's just I'm not as encouraged to take it off and work inside of the beds. And so you can see these collards have gotten completely away from me. This is actually the one critter I have seen inside of there. This is a Japanese beetle. So it's crawled its way inside, and it wants to eat a lot of what's in my garden. So I have a Japanese beetle trap up front. I actually hand pick a lot from my kind of okra plants, the hibiscus plants. Like, it finds its way onto those. I have some beets. So these were either the albino beets or the golden beets. But this is ready to come up. I'm trying to hold out on some of these because coming up on August 1st, my buddy Ben and I start a challenge where we're doing 31 days of lunch from the garden. So I'll drop the link. We have a mini episode for our podcast. It's like 15 minutes. We talk about kind of what we plan on doing, the why. And so based on not having a whole lot of summer crops that are ready to harvest, I'm trying to hold out and save some of these for those lunches. But things like this cabbage, it's time. So I want to make sure I don't get in a position where it starts to crack. And then also it clears some space for me to come in and plant some things that I'm gearing up for fall. I left this here really just to create some shade for this space. I didn't want to pull, this was an old cauliflower plant. I didn't want to pull it until I was ready to plant something else. And it also shades the garden a little bit. You can see this is one of like 2 or 3 beds that I didn't mulch just because the plants got big before I really got to them. These are carrots from the spring. They're still growing. Underneath the cabbage are parsnips. You basically can see the leaves here. So they are growing. And then I have the rutabaga. So far, I've seen things like, you see that back there? Let's see. It's a nice size. They generally, I've seen them get bigger. So this was like one of those 100-day crops, so it still has some growing time. But generally I'm pleased. So for these beds, since they're uncovered, we're gonna get in here and clean some of this out. Get rid of bad insects. I really wanted to wait and do this video until I had time to cut some of these collards out. So I want to harvest a bunch of these. I'm pretty sure I'm going to freeze them. I actually had a really small batch of collards I cooked from the containers that I was growing them in. So at this point, these leaves are getting too big for the bed. I did plant some starts that I had, some cabbage starts. And my theory of, oh, they'll have room, clearly didn't work out. We'll see. I'm going to leave them where they are. We'll see if when we start to harvest more out of this bed, if those plants have a chance to get some sun and grow up. Okie doke, so thanks for spending some time with me. If you have any questions or suggestions or comments, feel free to drop them below, and I shall see you all in the next one.